Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic, the all-open dialogue show here on the John Campea Show, where all we do is stand around a virtual water cooler just talking about movies and a little bit of television, anything you guys want to talk about. This is the open platform. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, we have about 10 to 12 minutes of live questions that you guys have. But here on Open Mic, I know you guys like to have a much broader platform, so we do Open Mic here for about an hour, just taking all the questions you guys are sending in. Now, we've already got a whole bunch of questions sent in, so we're going to dive right into it today. And the first question that comes to us today comes in from Rodrigo Ortiz, who writes, I know you didn't like the first Cobra Kai trailer, but have you seen the other two and the new one that dropped today? Wanted to know your thoughts. I watched one of the other ones, still not impressed. Looks incredibly cheap to me. Now, it may be marvelous. It might be wonderful, but I just haven't liked the spots too awful much. And I didn't see the one that dropped today because, quite frankly, I don't care. So I haven't seen it, but that's just me. I mean, again, when the series drops, I will check it out and I will give it a fair shot because lots of times we've seen trailers that are terrible and then we end up really liking the movies or the shows or whatever, right? That can totally be the case here. But since you're asking me about the trailer spots in particular, I'm just going to say I'm not terribly impressed at this point. Luna Comics writes, who do you think would win in a fight, Luke Cage or Black Panther? Well, everybody knows what I'm going to say. Depends on who the writer is. Whoever writes that fight would win the fight. It's hard to imagine Black Panther winning the fight since he can't hurt Luke Cage. Now, maybe you could say, but this, again, it's up to the writer. If the writer says Luke Cage can be pierced by vibranium, then maybe he can. So, I mean, I don't know. It all depends on who the writer is. One guy would write the fight and Luke Cage wins. The other guy writes the fight and Black Panther wins. It all depends on who the writer is. Nathan C. writes, Knoxville's Action Point trailer today looks okayish. Based on infamous Action Park in New Jersey, Defunct Land on YouTube has a fascinating 20-minute documentary. Yeah, so a new trailer dropped today for a movie called Action Point with Johnny Knoxville. And what it is, at least it seems to me from the trailer, because I don't know much about it. From the trailer, it looks like it's a mix between the crazy stunts that Knoxville is known for, from Jackass fame, combined with an actual movie. Like a movie. And that looks a little bit odd and different to me. So the idea, I think, is pretty cool. The idea of doing a movie with, and they say this right in the trailer, that all the stunts are real. The stunts you see in the movie are real. So it's basically Jackass, but it's done in the kind of form of a narrative story, right? And that's actually kind of a neat idea. I hadn't thought of them doing something like that before. And I gotta say, it was kind of funny. It looks like it could be kind of cute. So I'm interested. Now, I know nothing about the actual park that you're referring to, Nathan. Until you mentioned that in the message, I never knew it was based on a true park and things like that. So maybe I'll have to check out that documentary to get more info. But if you haven't seen the trailer to Action Point, it dropped today. Go look it up. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about it because I gotta admit, I'm kind of intrigued. I'm intrigued, and we'll see how that turns out. Orange Hand writes, I often see people get looked down on for watching wrestling, reality TV, game shows. Thoughts on this behavior and those kinds of programs? Well, I used to be a big fan of wrestling. Wrestling is entertainment. It's just sports entertainment. I love that they call it that. Sports entertainment is what it is. It's a little bit different from reality TV, game shows, whatever. Look, you like what you like, and it is totally human nature to like things and then other people who like things that you don't like to put those people down. That's a human reaction. It's a stupid human reaction, but it's what they do. There are people who don't like comic book movies. Well, then I better put down the people who do to justify my own opinion that I don't like comic book movies. Anybody that does like them, I've got to put them down. People who don't like foreign films, well, I better find out a way to put those people down because that's the only way I'll feel justified for my love of foreign films is if I put people down who do like foreign films or who don't like foreign films, I should say. There is this natural, stupid tendency that we human beings have to not only like some things and not like other things, but we have it seems to be like this immature defense mechanism that we have to put down the people who like what we don't like as a way to justify our disliking those things. And we see it all the time. We see it all the time. Somebody loves DC and hates Marvel, they got to put down anybody that likes Marvel, or vice versa, or with video game consoles, or with this, or with that, or with styles of television, or whatever. It is a natural human tendency that is not only confined, unfortunately, to movies or video games or television. It's just one of the stupid, idiotic traits that we as human beings have. And it's something we need to get at. And it's one of the traits that is at the core of toxic fandom, for sure. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Look, I'm not into reality TV. I don't like reality TV that much. I don't watch a lot of wrestling anymore, but I still watch the odd big pay-per-view because it's fun. It's just fun. Don't watch a lot of game shows, although the odd game show I'll watch. But, yeah, there's some things I like, some things I don't like. But I certainly don't poo-poo on anybody who does like those things. Unless you watch the Kardashians, then I've got a few opinions. Luke1234 writes, Venom is starting to sound like Godzilla 2014. Look, again, I wouldn't put any stock in those rumors. We talked about it this morning on the John Campea show. The rumors that Venom doesn't actually show up in the Venom. We don't see Tom Hardy fully turn into Venom until the very end of the film. I don't believe those rumors. I cannot believe, and by the way, we don't know any legitimate source that comes from. So I just can't believe, not that the people who are reporting it aren't legitimate, it's that the people reporting are they themselves saying that these are coming from unconfirmed whispers. So it comes from no legitimate source. I don't believe it. And I cannot believe that the people at Sony or any studio would be so stupid as to put out a movie called Venom and then not have Venom show up until the end. Because they can't be so dumb that they don't realize the audience would completely revolt over something as dumb as that. If you do that to the audience, you tell the audience they're getting a Venom movie and then don't have Venom show up until the very, very end, you are going to have a mass revolt on your hands. And forget this cinematic universe you're trying to make with Silver and Black and all these other ones. Forget about it. Like you're done. You're screwed. You mess over the audience on Venom, they ain't going to give you the time of day for your next film. And I just cannot believe that they'd be that dumb. ZOMG Ruler writes, Hey, John, have you seen any of Nostalgia Critics' DCU reviews? No, haven't seen any of those. Luke1234 writes, with all the prank vids on YouTube and all the dumbass challenges on social media, do you think that makes the chances of another Jackass obsolete? No. If anything, the rise of those types of things would maybe put Jackass in a position to be even more popular. Because they're the best at it. They're the best. And if that thing becomes popular, the people who are best at that thing, it might even have a better chance. But again, we talked a little bit about this Action Point thing that Johnny Knoxville that's blending live real stunts with a narrative movie. Could be a dumpster fire of a film, but it could actually be pretty good. But yeah, Luke, if anything, I think that increases the chances of it being successful. Degato1 writes, for some reason, I believe that Venom rumor. Just by watching that teaser trailer, we just see Tom Hardy as himself running away from the bad guys. Yeah, but that's fully expected. I expected no less from the first trailer. Remember, it was the first trailer that was still like almost a year away. It was like 10 months away from the movie coming out. I did not expect to see much Venom, if any Venom, in that trailer at all. So I don't see, if anything, I believe this is a fake rumor that's being made up around the trailer. It's like, oh, they didn't show us any Venom in the trailer. I bet people will believe it if we put up this rumor that there isn't any Venom till the end of the movie. I think that's probably more the case here. Again, it's possible it's true. I just have a hard time imagining people would be that dumb. Again, as far as the trailer goes, the trailer was exactly what I thought. The movie was still like more than 10 months away when that trailer came out. You don't start showing all the key things yet. The movie's far too much. You show Venom now, everybody's going to forget about the trailer by the time Black Panther comes out and Avengers Infinity War comes out. Suddenly now no one's talking about it. You just blew your proverbial load on a trailer that was going to be instantly forgotten in just a couple of months. There's no reason to do that. So I fully expected that trailer to be the way it does. I don't think the trailer points in any way that the rumor is true. I don't think it points that way at all. Let's see here. The Last of the Time Lords writes, Netflix Daredevil versus Bale Batman. Who wins? Oh, that's easy. Bale Batman. Easily Bale Batman. Degato1 writes, hope it doesn't turn like Power Rangers, that we didn't see them in their suits till the end. Well, I mean, who cares though? I mean, with the Power Rangers, the Power Rangers movie I thought was much better than I was expecting it to be. And who cares? It's just a costume. It's not like they become different people. It's just a lame costume covering their face. We're talking about Venom, the transforming into this creature of darkness. That's night and day difference. It's not the same thing. Pardon me. Like, we didn't watch Power Rangers to see them in their suits. We watched Power Rangers for the action and the story of it and all that kind of stuff. People are going to see a Venom movie to see Venom. They're going to see Venom. That's what they're buying their tickets for. Yes, we can't wait to see Tom Hardy. Yes, we can't see the story. And no, Venom doesn't have to be there in the first act. He doesn't even have to be there the first 3/4 of the second act. But by the end of the second act, the start of the third act, you better have Venom on screen. And I think that's I see where you're coming from, Degato, but I look at it differently than you, because I watched that movie and I felt, just watching the kids, I felt like we were getting the Power Rangers. They just didn't have the costumes on. And then they do put on the costumes, and the costumes are on for a good amount of time in the movie. It's not like they just showed up in their costumes in the last 5 minutes, right? So I thought we got enough of it. I really did. Let's see. Iggy is Horrible writes, Spanish lesson, say soldatho. Is that how soldado is pronounced? Soldatho? Soldatho? Really? All right. Well, look, I'm not going to pretend that I know. I have no idea whatsoever. I just see it spelled soldado. I say soldado. Jordan Benjamin writes, does the DCEU rely too much on catastrophic events in their movies? Do we need more gritty, down-to-earth stories like a Detective Batman? I want to see Riddler and Penguin stories, maybe Bane's origins, thoughts. Well, any action movie or anything can rely on big possible catastrophe, right? We see that in Doctor Strange. We see that in Avengers. We see that in Thor Ragnarok. We see that certainly in Avengers Infinity War. We see, ultimately, it wasn't just Wakanda they were fighting for. They were fighting for the world, because the world was about to be turned upside down in Black Panther. I mean, so it's not like DCEU is the only people who have an action film that make the world is at stake kind of things. So no, I don't think they rely too much on it. But just like any cinematic universe, and I've said this for a while, they do need to go back to, they need to have some movies with smaller things at stake. Like, it doesn't always have to be save the universe or save the world. Sometimes it's cool to save the city, or save the neighborhood, or save the person. So, like, you look at a movie like, say, Ant-Man, where we have the MCU changing the gears, going from saving global catastrophe to a movie like Ant-Man, where it's just dude trying to protect his family and get his daughter back, and get back into the life of his daughter. I mean, so it's good for a cinematic universe to shift gears like that a little bit back and forth. And I think the DCU could stand to do that as well. Sure, absolutely. Let's see. Last of the Time Lords writes, will we get another Zorro sequel or a remake? Well, I got a sequel, no. But at least I don't think we will. A remake is possible. Look, they're always going to look to remake recognizable IP. Because when you start off with recognizable IP, you start a few steps ahead in your marketing, right? So, because part of your marketing is just getting people aware of the property and getting people on board with it. When you start with something like a Transformers, you start with something like a Zorro, it certainly doesn't guarantee success, but at least gives you a little bit of a head start in your marketing because it's already recognizable IP. People say Zorro, you basically know who they're talking about and what they're talking about. So because of that, I believe the likelihood of a reboot at some point is highly likely. However, I don't know if it's likely within the next 2 years or 3 years, maybe in the next 10, but probably not anytime soon. At least I don't think so. Who knows? Last of the Time Lords writes, who's more powerful, Thanos or Apocalypse? You know what I'm going to say. It depends on who's writing it. Jedi Knight and friend of Captain Solo writes, I hope you don't mind, but since there's some gamers here, I want to let you and everyone know about a charity called Special Effect that helps disabled/special needs people to be able to play video games. That's awesome, Jedi Knight. I think that's great. And I'm thrilled that you use the chat board to make people aware of that. That's wonderful. I've never even heard of that. It's called Special Effect and helps disabled/special needs people be able to play video games. I love that. That is great. Do me a favor, Jedi Knight. Can you send me an email you can just write me. Forget the part that says put open mic in the subject line. Forget that part. Just email me, john@thejohncampeashow.com. I would love, send me some links. I would love to know more about this special effect thing, because that sounds wonderful to me. So please send me some information on that. I'd love to know more. Thanks for sharing that. Kalis Menon writes, have you seen the trailer for Tag? Pretty neat. Well, I talked about it this morning on the show. I think I talked about it yesterday, and I talked about it in the companion video as well. Yes. For those of you who haven't seen it, a trailer for a new movie dropped called Tag. It stars John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, Isla Fisher, a few other people and faces you'll recognize. It looks really good. It's a comedy that seems to have some heart to it, and it looks funny. A movie about this group of friends, adults, who have been playing a continuous game of tag for 30 years. I know it sounds kind of weird, but check out the trailer. I got a big kick out of it. Check it out. I think you will too. Nathan C. writes, I know you like the awesome Shogun miniseries. I really do. Did you ever see Noble House? Same writer, same universe, stars Pierce Brosnan and John Rhys Davies. Yes, I did, but I was a kid when that came out. Actually, when did Noble House come out? Let me look. Miniseries. Noble House was a miniseries that came out in '88. Okay, so I was like 15 when that. So I was a kid when that came out. I remember I saw it way back when, but I have no recollection of it other than remembering that I saw it, because that was a hell of a long time ago, man. But thanks for mentioning. I might look it up to see if I can find more information on it and watch it again. The Last of the Time Lords writes, better action sequel, Die Hard 2 or Taken 2? I'll go Die Hard 2 on that. Absolutely, I'll take the Die Hard on that. Jordan Benjamin writes, I saw a still from the Infinity War trailer. Spidey's getting his ass beaten by Thanos. Is it too soon to say R.I.P. Iron Spider? Hope you're having a great day. My goodness, that would give me a great moment of joy. If Thanos is fighting Peter and just beats the hell out of the Iron Spider armor and it's gone, and Peter says, you know what, that was just a hindrance anyway. I'm Spider-Man, damn it, and just puts on a regular Spider-Man costume again. That would be great. I would love that. I don't know that that's going to happen, but it would be awesome if that did. Time Lords writes, Mysterio, villain for Homecoming 2. Your thoughts? No idea. The Last of the Time Lords. Do you think we will get a Vince McMahon biopic? Asked me that earlier. Same thing. No idea. It would certainly be interesting. One of the things I answered this question before, and one of the things I said before was, I'm much more interested in like a Montreal Screwjob movie. I'd be much more interested about that. But, I mean, I'd be down for a biopic on Vince McMahon. He's had a very interesting life. A lot of very interesting things have surrounded him and the different things he's involved in. So I'd be down for it. But like I said, I would rather see a Montreal Screwjob movie for sure. Sam Fisher writes, just saw both Caddyshack and Breakfast at Tiffany's for the first time last night. So good. You know what? One of the things I'm most envious of, I get so excited when people get to watch these great movies for the first time. It always excites me. Breakfast at Tiffany's is not just a popular song from the 90s. Caddyshack is one of the all-time great comedies. And thank you, Sam, for bringing it up. If you guys have not either seen Breakfast at Tiffany's or Caddyshack, put them on your schedule, sit down, get a couple friends together, watch these movies. These are great classic films that you've got to see. Thanks for bringing that up, Sam. Pi Gal writes, John, have you read any of the new DC Age comics? I like the Damage character, which seems like DC's answer to Hulk. What's the catchphrase for Damage? Is it like unlimited power for an hour or something like that? And then they've got like this assassin girl. Honestly, ever since the Rebirth stuff, I haven't read any DC stuff since Rebirth. Not because I'm turned off by it. It's just that, you know, I was reading up until New 52. I especially got into Aquaman a little bit with the New 52, but then I kind of tailed off because I just ran out of time for reading a lot of stuff. And then nothing since Rebirth. I've read like nothing since Rebirth. So no, the DC New Age stuff, I have not read any of it. So no, I haven't read any of it yet. I'm aware of it, but I haven't read any of it. Let's see. Kyle Malinowski writes, Hey John, in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn says, my friend, you bow to no one. I don't cry, but I feel it every time. Do you have a favorite scene like that? Thanks. Well, first of all, that scene, I do get choked up every single damn time. When the king, with all the nobility of the elves and humans all standing around, and everybody standing up there on the landing there where the king is, up on the top of where the castle and the palace. Oops, I forgot to reset the camera. Sorry about that, guys. That damn scene when the king gets down on his knee and says, "My friends, you kneel to no one, or bow to no one," whatever he says. And he gets down on a knee in front of these four little hobbits. Can you see the bumps and the hair standing up on my arm right now? That's a kind of moment to me. That is one of my favorite moments in all of the Lord of the Rings things. Now, of course, you know what I'm going to say, going, best of the best, the medal ceremony, Dahan going up and giving his medal to the guy that he thought, that the guy whose brother he killed. And says, "I now offer myself as your brother, Dahan," ladies and gentlemen. That's the moment to me. But oh my God, I love that moment in Lord of the Rings. I cannot help but feel choked up, the throat tightening, the bumps on the arms, the hair standing up on my arms every time I see that. "My friends, you bow to no one." And then all of the regal of elves bowing to these halflings. I love that moment, man. I could talk about that moment all day. I love that moment. Nathan C. writes, "Did Lone Ranger kill the prolific but checkered collabs of Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio? Despite many meh sequels, they were golden boys for a while." Yeah, but actually, no. What was the one they just did one recently? I thought. Hold a second here. I could have swore that they did this one. Hold a second. No, I'm wrong. I am dead wrong. Well, okay, so they are connected to the King Kong versus Godzilla movie, but I don't think they're on as screenwriters in that. I think they're like kind of on as consultants on that one, so I'm not really sure. I thought they did another big one just recently, but I am wrong about that. They didn't. So yeah, that seems, now whether or not it was because of the lack of success of it or whatever. I mean, we had them working on Pirates of the Caribbean. We saw them working on Shrek, all that kind of stuff. Let's see what happens with King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't think they're actually on as the official writers, but I know they're working on that to some degree. Let's see. George Belega writes, "Here's my Infinity War prediction. Thanos kills every superhero except Doctor Strange, who then uses the Time Stone to start over the fight. Too crazy? Too cheap, to be honest with you. I think audiences would be upset if that's too cheap. That's way too cheap. Because at any moment, Doctor Strange just go, oh, boom, and ta-da, it's starting over. That would be so cheap. Because ultimately, that just renders useless the entire movie. It just renders the entire movie useless. It's like, what the hell did I even watch this movie for? Why didn't I just wait and come back and watch the second one? It's too cheap. So they better not do that. And I think people would be upset if I know I would be upset if they took such a cheap ass backdoor way out. I would hate that. Not that you can't they may use time travel to some degree, and I hate time travel in movies, but they may use time travel to some degree or whatever. But to just go, oh, well, Thanos won everything. Well, I'll just crank out the eye and boom, we just reset everything. Then what was the point of me just watching this 2.5 hour movie? What was the point? So I hope they don't take that really cheap, lazy way out. To me, it would be a very cheap, very lazy way out. Let's see. Last of the Time Lords writes, better bad movie, Independence Day 2 or Valerian? I'll take Valerian. Valerian wasn't terrible. Independence Day 2 is terrible. But Valerian isn't terrible. And visually, it's just astounding. I mean, watch, it's glorious. The visuals in Valerian are just flat out glorious. And it has story issues, it has character issues, but it's not a terrible movie. You know what I mean? It's not good, but it's not terrible. Independence Day 2 is just flat out terrible. Time Listener writes, will we get a Last Witch Hunter sequel? I hope so. I really don't think so. I think the movie cost close to $100 million to make, and it made around 140, which means it lost the studio money. It lost the studio tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. So, and it wasn't highly reviewed and highly regarded. So no, I just can't see there being any chance. I don't know why a studio would put up money when the first one probably lost them 40 or $50 million. So I just don't see another one happening. I didn't mind it, but a lot of people didn't like it. But more importantly, nobody went to go see it. And that's the main thing. Matt Thornton writes, looking forward to Matt Groening's new Netflix series, Disenchantment. Really don't know much about it at all. And, you know, Simpsons is not terrible today, but it's not the same magic that it used to have. So I don't know if that's just that they've run out of gas for that one property, or if Matt Groening's run out of steam, or what. Let's put it this way. I'm curious about any new series he does. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it. I wouldn't say I'm excited about it. But hey, let's judge it when it comes out. Until then, I'll just say I'm not really looking forward to it. Let's see. Where did it go? Wow. Okay, here we go. Next one comes to us from Anthony R., who writes, you're a digital guy, but do you spend extra on 4K UHD? Nah, generally I don't. I don't have a 4K TV. Just right off, I have an HD TV. I don't have a 4K TV. And I am in no rush to get 4K. I am in no rush to get that at all. You know why? Because I think we're probably only a year or two away from like 8K or whatever becoming a new standard. So I'm in no rush. Right now, to me, HD looks glorious. On my TV, HD looks amazing. So I'm in no rush to go out and spend thousands of more dollars to get a slight improvement on a technology that I may just be swapping out in another 2 years anyway. So no, I don't invest in the 4K stuff, because even if I wanted to, it would be pointless because I don't have a 4K TV, and I'm not about to go out and get a 4K TV. I love my TV. Thank you very much. So no, I don't spend the extra on the 4K. Last of the Time Lords writes, best directing brothers. Your thought, the Wachowskis or the Coens or the Russos? Coen brothers. Coen brothers for sure. I'm a big fan of the Russos. Huge fan of the Russos. But the Coens have just like made some all-time greatest movies. Like some of their movies are some of the all-time greats. So I will take the Coens. The Wachowskis, the Wachowski siblings is the best way to put them right now. Are at best hit and miss. They've got The Matrix, not a lot else. So to me, up here, it's Coens and Russos, and I would give the edge to Coens, but Russos are way up there for me too. Time Lord also writes, will we see the Nova Corps or even Nova in Infinity War? I do not believe we're going to see Nova at all in Infinity War. Nova Corps is certainly possible, because remember, one of the Infinity Stones is being guarded by them. So it is very possible we get a glimpse of the Nova Corps in the beginning of the movie. Anthony R. writes, Force Ghost should be able to teach Jedi history, lightsaber forms, etc. Just wondering how Rey is going to rebuild with just books. Well, I mean, probably a lot in the same way that Luke was going to do it on his own. Luke just looked up, ancient texts. He tracked down old Jedi temples. He just gathered all the information that he could, and he just let the Force guide him. I mean, remember, the Force is, it obeys your commands. It will control your actions, but it'll also obey your commands. I think, so whatever way Rey does it, it's just going to be the same way Luke did it. Luke had no instruction either. So I don't think it's any kind of a leap to think that Rey would just do it the same way Luke did, although we now are in an era of Force Ghosts a little bit more. Maybe Luke helps her out. And again, I still think there's a 5% chance Luke's still alive. 95% chance that he's not, but I think there's a 5% chance Luke is still alive. Last of the Time Lords writes, will we get She-Hulk in the MCU? I'm doubting it. I don't think we will. Adamus95 writes, Chloe and Lucifer to be together by the end of season 3. Maybe. They seem to be really playing around with that a lot. Like they start to get together. But here's the thing. When characters get together, that tends to sour a show. Because I remember in New Girl, I was loving that show, New Girl. And then around season 4 or 3, they got Jess and Nick together. They finally got them together. And the show just went to crap after that. Then they broke them up and the show got good again. So, I mean, I don't know. There's part of me that wants them to stretch this Chloe and Lucifer thing out a little bit longer. I think I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing Lucifer having another love interest brought into the show. And that would allow them to stretch out the stuff with Chloe even more. But whatever. I mean, I love this show. Lucifer's so good. John DeSilva writes, I am seeing things, movie scenes, the Chris Reeve tribute in Man of Steel, the monster in Hancock. Did you know about them? Any others I missed? Thoughts? YouTube will show you it is in the movie. I'm not exactly sure. I am seeing things, movie scenes, the Chris Reeves tribute in Man of Steel, the monster in Hancock. So I'm not exactly sure what it is you're trying to communicate, John. I think you need to just word out your things a little more carefully. I think you're asking about the Christopher Reeve tribute in Man of Steel. Yes, have seen that. That information's been out there for a while. I'm not quite sure. I'm not aware of the monster one in Hancock, so I'm not quite sure about that one. Other tributes to movies, that I'd have to sit down and think about that because I remember hearing about a bunch. I'm sure you all do too. But I can't pull them off the top of my head right off the way. But yes, those ones are there. I'm not aware, at least the Christopher Reeve one, at least I don't remember the monster one in Hancock, so I'd have to relook that up. Elijah Brown writes, what are your thoughts on the movie American Sniper? Good film. Good film. I didn't think it was like worthy of Best Picture of the Year nomination, but I thought it was solid. I enjoyed that movie. Great performances, great direction. I liked it a lot. Koa 1708 writes, the Venom rumor is like what happened with the last Godzilla movie. We barely saw Godzilla until the last fight. Well, no, we got to see a bunch of Godzilla. It's just that we didn't get to see enough Godzilla in a movie called Godzilla. I mean, so it's not like Godzilla didn't show up until the final 8 minutes of the movie. We saw Godzilla. We saw him full body doing his thing. It's just that they just went to him so briefly every time and so rarely. And that was a criticism of the movie. That Godzilla, while he did show up throughout the film, he really didn't have a ton of screen time until the end. And they better not do that with Venom. And look, if you just want to show glimpses of Venom, like show him full out Venom halfway through the second act, a little bit towards the end, and then close to the end he goes full blown crazy, I can live with that. But to not even reveal Tom Hardy fully transforming into Venom until the end of the film will piss people off. It will piss people off a lot. Kalis Menon writes, what was the big DCEU news? Nope, not going to talk about that. I've said that a million times. Gio writes, thoughts on Saoirse Ronan's phenomenal young actress. She's incredible. She's great. I'd like to see her get... Every time I see her act, though, and she is spectacular, I kind of feel not that she's the same character, but she has many of the same characteristics that she carries over to each of her characters. Her characters are very different people, yes, but I feel like and I'd like to see her stretch a little bit more. I'd like to see if she can extend herself with her talent a little bit more, to see her do something totally different. But, I mean, oh my God, she's this young. I believe she might have 3 Academy Award nominations at this point, at the age she's at, which is crazy. She's super gifted. I haven't loved a lot of her movies, like Lady Bird. I didn't even like Lady Bird. Everybody else loves it, I know. I'm one of the few people that didn't even like it. But, yeah, she's a phenomenal actress. And it's just crazy to think about how scary good she could become. John DeSilva writes, 2 gems from the 80s I recommend. Lady Hawk, with Rutger. Yes, Lady Hawk, Rutger Hauer, Matthew Broderick. You mentioned Rutger Hauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, Fantasy. Blind Date, we have Bruce Willis and Kim Basinger. Have you seen them? Yes, I've seen them both. I like them both very much, particularly Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk has the cheesiest soundtrack, though, man. Lady Hawk, like with this synthy 80s, wah, 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 like it has the cheesiest soundtrack. It's awful. But the whole thing about the curse, and they can just see each other briefly for a moment between the sun rising and the sun setting. Oh, it's great mythology. It's fun. Matthew Broderick is great in it. I enjoyed it a lot. And Blind Date was a really good little comedy as well. Like, not my top 30 or 40 or 50 all-time comedies, but it's a nice little comedy. If you haven't seen that one, check that one out too. Nice recommendations, John. I appreciate that. Jonathan Bunch writes, how excited will you be if while holding back Thanos, Cap says, I can do this all day? Oh, that would be great. That would be great. I would love that. If him and Thanos come to some kind of a little stalemate and Steve looks up and says, I can do this all day, I would love it. I would probably squeal. I mean, out loud, I would probably squeal in the audience if he says that. That would be amazing. Okay. Or how about this? They're in the middle of that conflict. Thanos thinks all of his Dark Legions are taking out the Avengers, but what he doesn't know is that they've already taken care of the rest of them. And while they're at that stalemate, the captain yells, Avengers assemble. And all of a sudden, Thanos is surrounded by all the Avengers. Chills. That would be amazing, too. Okay. Daryl Best Wadley writes, will Captain Marvel and Steve fight for captain title? No, I don't think so. The military can have many, many captains. Let's see here. Anthony R. writes, Feige confirmed that Phase 4 will be very different. Do you think Spider-Man will be the new central figure as he gets older? Also, are Betty Ross, Abomination, Red Skull ever coming back? Well, I mean, I don't think Spider-Man ever becomes the central figure. He's still far too young. So I don't see that happening for years, many years. As far as Betty Ross, I don't think we're going to see her again. That's just a guess. Abomination, I hope so. He is a great ace up your sleeve. He is such a terrific villain. I thought they used him beautifully in that Incredible Hulk movie. Red Skull, I also don't think so. Hugo Weaving has said he doesn't want to come back to play it again. Marvel can force him to come back. They can. They've got a contract with him. If they want him to come back, he's got to come back and play that role. But and Hugo Weaving has said that. He said, I mean, if they make me do it, they'll make me do it. But I don't think Disney would want to put themselves in a position that they're bringing in an actor who has publicly said he doesn't want to play the role anymore. You're just asking for trouble. And yeah, so I don't think you could change actors with them. You could. But I don't know. I would love to see Red Skull come back. I would really like to see Red Skull come back as played by Hugo Weaving. But, I mean, I just don't know at this point. But Abomination, I got to think that Kevin Feige's got a plan for him. They specifically go out of the way, in one of the Marvel shorts, they specifically go out of the way to mention the fact that they've got Abomination on the raft. They've got him in lockup. So he's still there. He's a viable player, and he's a great foil for the Hulk. So I really hope they use him again. I thought he was just a great villain. By the way, guys, I'm just going to say, if you haven't sent in a question yet, probably best that you not send in any more questions, because I think I might have more here than I can actually get through before the hour is up. But listen, guys, if you have sent in a question and it doesn't get answered during the live show, don't worry. On tomorrow's companion video, I will take all the questions that don't get asked here today, and I'll copy them over to tomorrow's companion video notes, and I will make sure your questions get asked there. So don't worry if it doesn't get answered live here today. All right. Taumis Yusuf writes, I highly rate and appreciate the Russo brothers. Oh, I completely do too. You know, I've been lucky enough that I've had a chance. Let me see if I can pull this up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this or not, but I'm going to see if I can. I've been lucky enough that I've had a chance to get together with, meet, and talk with the Russo brothers on several different occasions, to be honest with you. And I've got several pictures of me with them, but I can't find them off the top of my head right now. Anyway, I highly appreciate them. They're super nice guys. They've always been very, very accommodating to anything I've ever wanted to do with them. They've been wonderful, and they're great. And I think what they have done with what they did with Civil War is crazy. I mean, just crazy. And they were already good, but I mean, what they've done is absolutely crazy. What they did with Winter Soldier, so amazing. You know, they're just terrific, and I can't wait to see what they do here. I would like to see them get away from the MCU, though, to be honest with you. I'd really like to see the Russo brothers get away from the MCU and direct some other stuff, just to keep themselves creatively sharp. You know me, I get very nervous when any director, no matter how good they've been, stays on one property for too long. I think, you know, that can dull you a little bit. I would love to see them get away from the MCU a little bit just to see what else they do and keep themselves creatively fresh and sharp. Holland Love writes, after seeing Baby Driver again, I wish Edgar Wright stayed on for Ant-Man. I think he'd do an MCU movie in the future, since Phase 4 movies may connect less. Well, here's the thing. Edgar Wright, and y'all know how much I love Edgar Wright. Like, I am a massive Edgar Wright fan, like huge Edgar Wright fan. interviewed him many times. He's been on my show several different times. He's done shows that I've done. They even had me, you know what, I do have this right here. I just pulled this up. They invited me when they were doing their premiere screening, a special screening of this film they did. Let me see if I can increase this a little bit here. They did this special screening of their film World's End. And you guys remember that. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost were in it. And I was very, very lucky enough that they invited, there's me and Edgar, that they actually invited me down to the special screening so I could do so I could run the Q&A with them, with the audience, after the screening was done. Edgar is a unique, fantastic talent. I just love the guy. Now, the reason I say all that is so you can understand the context when I say this. I'm glad they didn't make his Ant-Man movie. Because you got to remember why they decided to move away from it. Because Edgar Wright's Ant-Man movie was put together before the MCU was really even a thing. And they had this idea for an Ant-Man movie, and it was a great idea. But as the MCU evolved, Kevin Feige was just like, that Ant-Man movie was a great idea, but it no longer fits with what we're doing in our MCU. And we need to make changes. Edgar Wright, understandably so, was like, well, this is the movie I wrote. And he dug it in his heels. And he was standing firm. This is the movie I want to make. And Kevin Feige's like, yeah, but we can't make that movie. So they did the mature thing. They said, okay, no problem. I'm going to step away. Edgar Wright stepped away. They brought in Peyton Reed, and Peyton Reed did a magnificent job on their Ant-Man film. I love the Ant-Man film that Peyton Reed made. But you'll also notice on Ant-Man that Edgar Wright's name is all over the credits. They list Edgar as a producer and as a creative. He's all over those credits. So I think they maintained a very good relationship with each other. So the notion that Edgar Wright, especially after Baby Driver, could conceivably come back here and do another MCU film that's not Ant-Man is totally feasible. Totally feasible. But it is weird to say that I am a huge Edgar Wright fan, yet I'm glad they didn't make that movie because it was important that Kevin Feige make all the movies work within the framework of the MCU. And that's what's made the MCU so successful. You know, and it's because guys like that stick to their guns, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate Edgar Wright, instead of just saying, okay, then I'll make a different movie. Edgar Wright was creatively stuck to his creative integrity. He said, nope, that's the movie I wanted to make. And if I don't get to make that movie, then I'll let you get somebody else come in and do it. And I admire them both. I admire them both for how they both handled that situation with such class, with such dignity. It just makes me respect Kevin Feige and Edgar Wright all the more, the way that was handled. Okay, let's move on here. Sam Fisher writes, did you see the trailer for Mr. Rogers' documentary, Won't You Be My Number? Looks good and interesting. No, I've had tons of people send me the links to them, but I have not watched the trailer yet. Everybody's telling me it's like it'll make you get the feels. I haven't watched it yet. I've heard it's a spectacular trailer. Haven't watched it yet myself. I'll let you know when I do, though. Koa178 writes, director makes script or script makes director. Neither. They're two different components. Here's a good example. You can take a story, right? Take a story. Same story. Give it to two completely different storytellers around a campfire. And that story, even though it's the same story, it will come across to the listener two very different ways. It depends on who's telling the story. The director, it's their job to tell the stories. The script brings them a story, then the directors tell the story. And depending on who the director is, you can be working off the same script and yet get completely different stories from each other. But they also live in a symbiotic relationship, right? Like, it's difficult to make a good movie out of a bad script. You can make a bad movie out of a good script. So I don't think it's as simple. I think it's an oversimplification to either suggest that the director makes the script or that the script makes the director. They have two very different roles to play, and they serve different functions. So I don't really think you can say either, to be honest. Blake Carson writes, I'd just like to thank you for doing what you do. I look forward to your shows every day. One of my friends jumped off a building on Saturday. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. And your shows bring me back to reality. Best channel on YouTube. Well, first of all, Blake, deepest condolences for your friend. Deepest condolences to their friends and family. That's a horrible thing to hear, and I'm really glad that the film fan community can be a place for you to just kind of get back, and keep your feet on the ground and be an oasis for you from that crap. And I'm so sorry to hear about that, Blake. That's a terrible thing to hear. But thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Anthony R. writes, the race thing with Black Panther gets annoying. Can't people just appreciate that the next movie is about aliens and humans fighting a purple-skinned alien who collects destructive gems? Yeah, and you know what? For the most part, Anthony, I'll say, look, you're in a different part of the world than I am. You're in a different city, a different part of the country, a different part of the world than I am, whatever. I gotta say that people making big deals out of the race issue, from my perspective, have been the minority of people. Most people just see a great movie with a great story and great performances by great actors and a great job done by a great director, and that's all they see. And that's great. Other people see other things, and that's fine. But I'm finding that the majority of people think along the lines that you and I do. I think it's the minority of people that make race, either positively or negatively, the big thing here, when really the big thing is it's a great movie. That's just what it is. It's just a great movie. And now, I love the way you put that. Now we can just appreciate that the next movie about aliens and humans fighting a purple-skinned alien who collects destructive gems. I think they should put that on the poster. As a matter of fact, I think that's what Marvel should put on the poster of Infinity War. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Paul, who writes, third try. Thoughts on a Blackjack movie? Yes, indeed, Paul. I did get your movie. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's the one with Kevin Spacey, right? If I'm not mistaken. Hold on a second. Let me just double check here. I am almost positive it's the one with Kevin Spacey. Let me just double check here. Yes, it is the one with Kevin Spacey. And Jim Sturgis in the lead. Kate Bosworth is in it. Lawrence Fishburne is in it. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's tough. Even like one of my favorites, Usual Suspects. It's tough talking about Kevin Spacey movies right now. But it's a very good movie. I enjoy it. I prefer Poker to 21, but it is a really nice little thing. And by the way, a little performance, a little small role by Josh Gad before anybody really knew who Josh Gad was. Josh Gad is in there too. So yes, I like that movie. Chris Martin writes, I was a big fan of the new Power Rangers. Bummed we're probably not getting a sequel. Yeah, it is unfortunate because you know what? It's one of those things where I thought the movie was going to be terrible. And, I said forever that I thought the movie was going to be terrible. And then I saw it, and you know what? I liked it. I unapologetically like the Power Rangers. Am I jumping up and down, calling it a triumph? Nah, but I had fun. It's a fun, sweet, little innocent movie. It's empty calories for sure, but it's fun. But unfortunately, the movie made $142 million worldwide on a $100 million budget. It lost the company's tens of millions of dollars. And it is very tough to do a sequel to that. And I remember before the movie came out, they were talking about, we're going to do like 7 Power Rangers movies. It's like, really? You're talking that way already? And the first movie hasn't even come out yet? Sure enough, we're not going to get 7. And it is too bad because I like the cast of kids. You guys know I had them in my studio once. I like the cast of kids. I thought they were really a great bunch. I thought the movie was fun and much better than I thought it was going to be. And who knew that I would be giving the Power Rangers movie a positive review, especially when I spent a year going, oh man, this is going to suck. This is a bad idea. That's why you got to have 2 different things. What your expectations are, and then you got to go into them with an open mind. It's totally fair to have expectations, positive or negative, but you got to leave those expectations at the door when you go into a movie theater. You got to take all those expectations that you had, that you're totally allowed to have, take those expectations and just leave them at the door and go into every movie with an open mind. And that's what you got to do. So even though you get a movie like that I thought was going to be trash, I ended up liking it. And that's, a great thing. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get another one. It's too bad. Let's see. Jamie Dawkins writes, do you think Thanos dies in Infinity War and the Kree take over his body and continue the quest for destruction? Seems like a good segue for Captain Marvel. No, that's a little bit too inside baseball to me. I don't think the average film goers are going to be down for that. I still think there's a possibility Thanos has nothing to do with Avengers 4. I don't think it's likely, but I think there's a possibility that Thanos does get beat in Infinity War. And then something else leads us into Avengers 4. Again, I don't think that's likely. I don't think it's likely. I'm just saying I think there's a remote possibility there. But the thing with the Kree, I'm not so sure. I don't think so. Matt Thornton writes, Rose McLiver is such a great actor. She practically has to play a different character in every episode of iZombie. Hope she gets some great roles. Okay, I was wondering why I didn't recognize names because I do not watch iZombie. I've never seen a single episode of iZombie, so I can't really comment. Although, let me see. Has she been in anything else? Let me see if she's been in anything else. I mean, I clearly recognize her. Was she? No, please don't tell me she was the girl in The Lovely Bones. Was she the girl in Lovely Bones? Let me just check that out here. Sorry, guys, for holding this up, but now I'm... Okay, no, I don't think she was the girl from The Lovely Bones. All right, well, whatever. Or was she? No, she wasn't. Okay, whew, okay. Anyway, so I don't watch the show, so I can't really attest to that one way or the other, Matt. Good old Uncle Sidious writes, should they make Alien 5 reboot now? Prequels are dead? No, they probably shouldn't make Aliens 5 now. Probably not. I don't see them doing it. I think people are aliened out, and I think we see with the declining box office returns and interest, even though the last Alien movie, whatever it was called, the name of the ship, but I thought it was pretty good. I liked it, but its box office went down even more, so I don't think Aliens 5 is going to be on the table anytime soon. Akeem writes, best Chuck Norris film ever is Silent Rage. Silent Rage is good. Somebody asked earlier today about the best Chuck Norris movie. I listed off a couple of them. One of them was not Silent Rage, but Silent Rage is one that people should keep an eye on. Darrow Best Wadley writes, do you think Captain America will get his original shield back? Probably. I'm going to guess yes. It's still around. There's probably going to be a really great moment when Tony hands it back to Captain America. That will be a great moment when that happens, if that happens. Cameron Drost writes, have you seen my next guest with David Letterman with George Clooney? He mentions the bat nibbles. Glad to see him able to make fun of something that was so horrible. I have not seen that one yet. I've only seen the one episode of my next guest with David Letterman. It's on Netflix. I've only seen the one episode, and the first episode was with Barack Obama, which was amazing and inspiring and all that kind of stuff. It was just incredible. Here's the thing. One of the coolest parts about that show is that his audience, he does it in like a college auditorium, right? So he's got hundreds of people in the audience, and I don't think they know who the guest is. And so it was so cool because he comes out, David Letterman comes out and goes, all right, so I'm going to bring out my guest, and nobody knew who it was. He goes, my guest, President Barack Obama. And the place went nuts. Like, can you imagine being there? And then they announced that President Barack Obama is coming out. I mean, that's nuts. And it's an inspiring interview. It's an absolutely inspiring interview. So I have not seen, I think there's been 2 other episodes. One of them is the George Clooney one, and I've heard really good things about it, but I haven't seen it yet myself. So I have not seen it yet, but I am definitely going to check it out. ZOMG Ruler writes, just got about 6 minutes left here. Grace mistook you for Schnepp since you're both John. I don't know what that means, but whatever. If you're talking about something about Grace, whatever her last name is, if you're talking about Grace, if she said something about me, if it's so, I haven't seen it or heard anything about it. So, and maybe she meant it for somebody else. Adam K writes, thoughts on the "Can You Ever Forgive Me" trailer? I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment on that. Samantha Elliott writes, over under 25%, we will have a scene with Quill's music playing in Infinity War. Is this a Guardians movie only flavor? I think we'll probably have a scene in the movie. But I don't think it's going to have more of a Guardians flavor, but I think we will get one scene where he's got some track playing. I don't know how you have Peter Quill in a movie and not at least at some point have some great old classic, either 70s or 80s, piece of music. I think you got to do that, right? I think so. I hope they do at any rate. Anthony R. writes, I saw a funny pic online. Doctor Strange seals. Oh, yes, I saw this one too. It's not a picture. It's a comic strip that I think a fan made. But anyway, I'll describe it here. I saw a funny pic online. Doctor Strange seals the Soul Stone inside a dog. Thanos kills the dog and realizes he messed up when John Wick looks for the dog. It is a wonderful... You know what? Let me just take a second here because I think somebody... I've had about 40 people tweet the picture to me. So let me just see. But I think another person sent it to me earlier today. Here it is. All right, let me just pull it up here and see if I can get it on the screen. I will try at any rate. Okay, so here it is. Yeah, the top. He says, where's the Infinity Stone? And Doctor Strange says, you'll never retrieve it. It's bound inside this little dog. And then the next frame, Thanos rips the dog open. He says, was that your plan? And Doctor Strange goes, wait for it. And then John Wick shows up and says, hey guys, have any of you guys seen my new dog? And Thanos looks, oh my God. And then Tony Stark and Doctor Strange high-fiving. Great strip. Great strip. The only thing that would make Thanos totally crap his pants, finding out he just killed John Wick's dog. And yes, I've had people like tweeting me like that every 5 minutes. Somebody's been tweeting me that picture. It's a great one. Sam Sosa writes, have you seen Field of Dreams? Oh, of course I've seen Field of Dreams. Yes, wonderful movie. Fantastic. Classic. Everybody needs to watch it. James Earl Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. If you build it, they will come. Jesse Vol Show 69 writes, you answered one of my questions back in the AMC closet days about Resident Evil ending, and look what happened. It ended. Stick it to the man. Well, I don't recall the specific question, but first of all, Jesse, thank you for viewing for all this time. I really appreciate that you did. And yeah, I know, like, hey, look, Resident Evil has its fans out there, and that's great. I celebrate that. I don't like the Resident Evil films. I think they're terrible. But there are people who love them, and I don't poo-poo on anybody if you love them. If you love them, that's great. I celebrate that with you. But like, yeah, to me, they needed to end. I think they needed to end a long time ago. Michael Blake writes, I'm not trolling. This hasn't been confirmed, but I recently discovered Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League have extended scenes on my digital copies. I'm not crazy. Cool. I'm not aware of that, but I'd have to check that out for sure. I mean, I think I have all three of those, except for Justice League. I haven't bought my Justice League digital copy yet, but I've got Man of Steel and I got Batman vs. Superman digital. So I will have to go and check out, see if there are features hidden in there somewhere. Thank you for bringing it up, because, I mean, maybe it's not true, but if it is, I'm really grateful you're bringing it to our attention. Thanks a lot for that, Michael. And a whole bunch of more questions came in. And, okay. Here we go. 2 more questions. Maybe 3 or 4. Which Robocop do you prefer? Oh, Robocop 1. Robocop 1. I thought the Robocop remake was actually pretty good. And it's got Michael Keaton in it. I thought the Robocop remake was all right. I liked it. Not as good as the original by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it was better than any of the sequels for sure. But I think I prefer the original. Twygriff writes, what do you think of stop motion favorite films? Stop motion is not my cup of tea per se, but you know, Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit definitely are some ones that stand out the most to me for sure. Again, as a style, not really my cup of tea, which is okay, but there certainly have been a couple movies that have been wonderful in the style. What was it? Box Trolls. But I don't know if that was done all CGI, if they actually did it stop motion and did it CGI to make it look like stop motion. I'm not really sure, but Box Trolls is really good too. Flick Talk writes, which Avenger uses the Gauntlet at the end of Avengers 4? Not sure any of them do. It might be a little bit of a situation of a Lord of the Rings situation where nobody dares put on the Gauntlet because you just become too obsessed with the power, maybe. So I'm going to guess none of them. I think the Gauntlet gets destroyed. I don't know that any of them actually use it, but I could be wrong about that. And final question today comes to us from Akeem, who writes, and I love that you got Akeem the African Dream as your icon, man. That's great. Not a lot of people remember Akeem the African Dream, my friend. Formerly known as Tugboat, if I'm not mistaken. I think Dave Bautista is a far better actor than The Rock. Dave seems to have more range. Rock makes me cringe most thoughts. I completely 100% disagree with you. 100% disagree with you. I'm a fan of Dave Bautista. I like Dave Bautista a lot, and he has certainly been improving quite a bit. And you guys know I've had Dave Bautista on my show, on several different of my shows at different times. I'm a huge fan of Dave Bautista. But no, when you watch a movie like Faster, or the name of that movie where I think it's called Snitch, where his kid is in prison and he's got to get his kid out. No way that does Dave Bautista have more range. I mean, it's all subjective. If that's how you see it, nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But if you're asking me for my thoughts, no way. Dave Bautista doesn't come close to The Rock yet. He's improving. He's getting better. We just talked about it on the John Campea show today that they just announced a new movie with him called Struber, with him and the Big Six, Kumail Nanjiani, which sounds like it could be a lot of fun. Sounds like it could be a lot. I love him as Drax. But to say he's got range, I certainly haven't seen anything that shows me he's got a lot of range yet. It's coming. He's improving. I'm a big fan of his. I love seeing him in these movies. But, you know, I remember talking to Dave once too. I think I talked to Dave. I got together with him to talk about the last James Bond movie. And we specifically brought up The Rock and how good. And Dwayne Johnson is actually an inspiration to him about seeing how good Dwayne Johnson's become. He mentioned that to me. Seeing how good he's got is a source of inspiration to him. And I think Dave will be the first one to tell you that he's not at Dwayne Johnson's level yet. And again, if it wasn't for great films like Faster or Snitch, where we got to see Dwayne especially do a lot more emotionally with the character, he's not just a big tough guy, but there's more to it, then maybe I'd agree with you, but even then probably not. But having seen those movies and seeing how much he has developed, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has turned into a legitimate Hollywood actor. A-list talent? No. Academy Award worthy? No. But a legitimate Hollywood actor that he can legitimately lead a film and carry a film. Dave Bautista isn't at that point yet. He could not lead a film. I don't think so. Not yet. So, but let's see how he continues to develop and evolve. Hey, look, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been doing a lot longer than Dave has. So give Dave a few more years and let's see how he turns out. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of, what was the show? Open Mic. That's what it is. I almost said the John Campea show. Forgive me. This is like the fourth video I've done today. That'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Once again, guys, listen, if you had a live question sent in and it didn't get asked, don't worry. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm going to take those questions that got sent in and not asked, and I'm going to carry them over. I'm going to use them on tomorrow's companion video, so keep your eyes open for that. Special thank you to all you guys who do send in questions. Not only do you keep the conversation going, but you guys, it's a great way to support the channel. Thank you so much. You guys are responsible for keeping the channel alive, along with my Patreon supporters. Of course, the Patreon supporters are the guys who month in, month out support this channel and keep it going. Do me a favor, if you're a fan of the channel, head on over to patreon.com/John Campea. Check out all the information there and find out what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps the shows on the air, and also the benefits of being a Patreon supporter. Benefits like audio-only podcasts, access to the Facebook group, some behind-the-scenes videos, things like that. Go check that out there. Maybe you'll want to become one too. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.